Well, here to explain how Republicans plan to hold the Democrat elites accountable is Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan. Man, the hour. Good to have you back, my friend.
Good with you.
I want to get to this thing that you sent over. You tweeted about it. The feds are working with the banks, sir. I'll let you describe. Working with the banks to flag certain things that you and I, as consumers, or people, Americans as consumers, or what we're buying. Some things that they feel are, I don't know, too right-wing, MAGA extremists, perhaps. Tell us about it.
Yeah, financial surveillance. You have big banks searching private transactions for key terms at the request of the federal government. And it looks like there was no warrant requirement. There was no legal process that was done. They just said, get this information. Banks did it. And some of those key terms, I think this is where it gets really kind of freaky and scary sounding. Those key terms were, if you use the term MAGA or Trump, or you were shopping at this transaction took place at a Cabela's or a Bass Pro Shop, or if you were buying religious text, religious information from some bookstore. I mean, so step back and think about it, Eric. You buy a Bible at a bookstore, you buy a fishing license at Cabela's or at Bass Pro Shop or wherever, and then you buy a firearm at Dick's Sporting Goods, for example, you're going to get flagged as a, quote, potential domestic violent extremist. And it's really scary stuff that you have big government working together with big banks to surveil Americans.
I'm going to call you chairman because you're Judiciary Committee. I mean, I'm blown away by some of this stuff. Who, when we say government, who in the government is petitioning the banks to turn over this information, and why do the banks think they need to do this? I'm just thinking back a couple things. I remember the IRS was playing games with conservatives years ago, and I also remember when government wanted the phone companies, the telecom companies, to turn over information about who we're talking to, and both of those kind of got pushed back. But who's doing this now?
Treasury Department, and it looks like potentially DHS and FBI. We're looking at that, but certainly the Treasury Department. And you're right to make that comparison. This sounds a lot like what we had about 10, 12 years ago when we learned that the IRS was targeting conservatives and they had this be on the lookout for these terms. And back then it was 912, it was Patriot, it was these kind of terms. Same kind of thing going on here relative to financial transactions. So, and when you read this material, it sounds a lot like, remember the memorandum we had from the Richmond field office of the FBI, where they were talking about if you were a pro-life Catholic, you were an extremist. It reads just like that memorandum. And, of course, the FBI told us, oh, that was just a one-off. Doesn't look like it. It looks like now this was going on in the financial sector as well.
So they look into this. They compile a list. I'm probably on 5 or 10 of those lists as it is. So and then they turn it to the FBI to do what? Investigate us?
Well, yeah, this was relative to banks. FinCEN, part of the Treasury Department, this agency was doing this. It looks like in context of January 6th, but we're not sure. It looks like it also might apply just across the board for this rolling time frame. So we're looking at all this. But what we've seen thus far is really troubling. That's why we wrote the former head of the financial services, FinCEN, the part of Treasury. We've written to him. We want him to come in for an interview or a deposition. And we're going to dig into this more because it's scary. And remember, this is on top of what we've learned over the last year in this Congress, where big government, big tech, big media, big academia were all involved in this effort to censor Americans. Right. Now it looks like you have big government, big corporations, big banks all involved in an effort to surveil Americans' financial transactions, the things they're buying. Incredible. So all very scary.
Incredible. You and I both know they've been wanting a gun registry, firearm registry in this country for 100 years, and never going to get it. But this whole, I mean, I buy a Bible and I'm flagged. I'm on some sort of list to potentially be investigated, sir.
Yep. I mean, religious text, Bible, could be other material. Wow. Using certain terms, because some of these are, these transactions take place online, and sometimes there's a message written with them, certain apps and different things they use, and they were flagging those debit card purchases, credit card purchases that were done that way, and others if they were done at like a big box store like Cabela's or Bass Pro Shop or whatever. But I mean, I stop and think about half the people I get the privilege of representing, probably by you think about it, where I'm from out in rural Ohio, Western Ohio. buying your son a shotgun for Christmas, now you're on some list as a potential domestic violent extremist, and the government's looking at that transaction. That is not how America is supposed to operate, but it sure looks like that's what was going on.
Crazy. Hopefully the banks, I don't know, we need to petition the banks to tell the feds to keep our information to themselves and not turn that stuff over. Are they working with you?
Yeah, we've already sent subpoenas to some of the financial institutions. Because remember, Bank of America, based on a whistleblower who came to us, this is when it's all started. A whistleblower from the FBI came to us and told us about Bank of America turning things over to the FBI relative to January 6th and the kind of things that went on there. And we thought, this is not right. So we were inquiring what compelled Bank of America to do it. Was there a warrant sent to them? So we're trying to dig into this more and get some answers.
Yeah, well, as you do, we'd love to have you back. The other story today that came out was, I wonder if they're looking into Hunter Biden, because we now find out that Hunter Biden had residue of cocaine on one of his gun holsters. I mean, you want to talk about violating some gun laws in this country to have a controlled substance residue on a gun that was, we believe, illegally purchased at some point. Chairman, what are you finding out about this one?
Well, also remember what happened today, too, is in the filing, the court filing, the FBI now admits that the laptop is genuine, it's real, you know, something that you and I suspected 4 years ago when this all came out. But now they're finally admitting to it. I thought it was, you know, just some Russian disinformation operation, according to the 51 former intel officials. So now for the FBI to admit something that we should have known 16 days before the election when that whole story broke is kind of ridiculous as well. But, yeah, we plan on having Hunter Biden come in now for his deposition. Looks like that is going to happen. We hope it happens here soon. But we're working, our counsel is working with his counsel on this. You know, he failed to come in. We held him in contempt in the committee, but we think he's coming in now. We just got to get the date ironed out.
I'm chuckling because I see that we were just playing that video of Hunter walking in all arrogant and cocky, kind of thumbing his nose at the House Oversight. And it strikes me as why he was even able to do that, because we've had Comer on a bunch of times, and this whole idea of holding him in contempt. Can you guys just please hold him in contempt for the last one, so that if he ever tries another stunt like that, you can slap some leg irons and some handcuffs on the guy? Because, well, we're sitting out here, Congressman, hold on, we're sitting out here going, well, do something. You know, do something. We've had, what is this, 3 weeks now since he violated or ignored your subpoena. There's plenty of time to get that congressional approval to hold him in contempt, isn't there?
Well, we passed the contempt resolution in both the Judiciary Committee and the Oversight Committee, and his counsel then reached out to us, which is how this typically plays out. A lot of times plays out this way. Now we want his testimony. We really do. We want him to come in and answer questions we have about the business operation he ran. The brand that they were selling, according to his partner, Devin Archer, was Joe Biden. Access to the brand was what they were selling. So we got all kinds of questions we want to ask about his interactions with Burisma, about the CEFC, the Chinese energy company, all this stuff. So we'd rather have him in there answering the questions under oath, which is exactly what happens in a deposition. If he's willing to come do that, which it looks like now he is, then we want to make that happen, and we'll hold on the contempt on the full House if we can get his testimony. So that's where we're at. We think he's coming in for testimony.
I could see him pulling another stunt like this for that movie, that documentary he's making. And this time it's not MTG talking. It could be you, Congressman. Hopefully, Chairman. I hope he doesn't do it.
Yeah, I don't think he will.
Okay. All right. We're going to leave it there. Chairman Jim Jordan, thank you for joining us again. Appreciate your time.
You bet, Eric.